This is Tribe Redefined, team call February 10th. That was Justin Bieber Intentions, if you liked that jam. I like the idea about being intentional, and when we're talking values tonight, it's going to seem unrelated, but I'm hopefully at the end going to be able to connect it back as to why I found this section of Dare to Lead so important for all of us as leaders, as team members, as parents, as friends, and how we communicate with one another and those around us. So, and it's all about being intentional and in alignment with what you have as a priority to you. So, anyway, I appreciate you guys that jumped on tonight, and I hope that you had a chance to access the PDF that I shared on the team page or in the leadership thread. If you did not, I'm going to pull it up real quick when it comes time for that, so you can take a peek. It's going to be helpful to have something to write with tonight if you are the note-taking type. But my goal for this evening is to help you meter down that list to 2 core values, which is going to sound incredibly difficult. My list, when I first went through real quickly, was at 11, and I have it down to 3, and I'm still like game time decision trying to make it to 2. But I'm going to explain why that's important. I'm then going to talk you through what we do once we align with those 2 values and steps you should be taking every day as we take on a new endeavor, as we communicate with people, etc., and especially as we make decisions. Before we get into that, just wanted to throw a couple of quick reminders. Again, I try not to do the coach office rundown for you guys because I'm hoping you're accessing that yourself. But as it's February 10th, we are nearing closer to the deadline for those Team Cup, not deadline, but the promo codes. So if you use them early enough, you can get more. So consider that. So I think that's the 14th of the month. So make sure you try to throw those out in the last couple of days. As well, when it comes to Team Cup, anything that your Team Cup is doing successfully or doing well, shout it out, give us a note in the thread or on the team pages or something to inspire everybody else. I've been down and out with an injury the last 2 days. That's got me really sleepy all the time. So I haven't been as active with my Team Cup on electronic devices. But I'm excited to continue the month and to get Team Cup underway and just to make it a fun time. So if there's anything worth sharing, not like every team has to be working together all the time, but if there's something cool that's happened or someone's doing something big and bold and worthy, then please do share it. Also a reminder that on Friday nights, we're going to be doing our 100 challenge. It was fun. It took a lot longer than I expected, but now I'm ready for that. I'm ready to go. Every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, but you can throw up a challenge at any time. If you also want to throw up a power hour, if you're going to be working, doing a dedicated work time, give us a notification on that. Post something in the team page. Send it out to all of us. Say, hey, tonight I have to get work done. I'm going to be working from 9 to 10, or I'm going to be working during nap time from 12 to 1:30. And you never know who's going to be around and who's able to pop in with you. And we have the Power Hour link available 24/7. So I really liked when we used to do that as a team, kind of be more intentional with saying, those midday random hour power hours, they were helpful. I know it would be really great to have something on the schedule moving forward every night or every week, having some kind of an idea. But I think right now, having our calls, having our accountability call, having our Friday night powwow, 100 challenge, and then anything that anyone else wants to throw in, if you're planning on doing it, if it's on your time block, then to make that happen. My last announcement, then I'll get into the training because it's kind of lengthy or complicated, I guess, not lengthy, is that tomorrow is PD/tracker share day. You're encouraged to share your trackers as well as your time block if you would like to do that as well. So if you haven't done any PD yet this week, make sure tonight you do, or in the morning when you wake up, that you dial into that so that you have something to share and we don't have to ask you any questions on that. I've started to organize everything into units. So If it's a PD thread, I have a PD tab, but if it's something very specific, like a podcast that's about inviting, I add it to the unit on inviting. Or if it's a YouTube training or a Beachbody Champions thing that's on going emerald, like I'm adding it to that. But for the most part, the books and tech and podcasts and things you guys are sharing, I'm keeping that in a unit. All of Teresa's live, hello, Kellen. All of Teresa's live videos are in a unit. All of, I can't answer my phone. I'm on a call already, sir. My phone line is busy. It is busy. You know, all of the things are in units. The Monday challenges, the Wednesday challenges, the Friday challenges, all of those are in past units as well. So as we sign new coaches, or if you're just looking for something to do, you have a power hour, a double power hour, let's say, you can go into the units and search that stuff and go through all the Monday quickies and do all of them in one day. Or you can send your new coach to the Wednesday one so that they have something to start sharing out. So just remember that all of that stuff is there and easy to access. Okay, so now to the challenge. So I'm going to put up the list very quickly. I'm going to share my screen. Lovely. All right. So I had everything really minimized. So this is a list that Brene Brown provides in her book, Dare to Lead. It's about 2/3 of the way into the book. I actually just finished listening to it on audio today. It was really, really good. It was very specific for leadership roles. It also helped me to understand how to communicate in my marriage, how to communicate in my friendships. It really talks about vulnerability and opening up yourself to daring leadership as opposed to, what was the way she calls it? I forget. But her goal is daring leadership. Leadership that's okay to be messy. Leadership that's okay to be wholehearted and open. And that's okay for others to rise to the occasion. And it creates this culture. Some of the things she talks about is how everybody should come to a meeting with permission slips, meaning like, I give you permission to be honest with me. I give you permission to, you know, whatever. Apparently I've shown up to this meeting giving everyone permission to scream and play violin. But it's things that you're okay allowing into the meeting. That everybody in a meeting, like on this team call, should be able to raise their hand and say, we need a timeout because we're getting off topic or we're getting out of hand or whatever it is. But just creating this open culture. And she spent a lot of time towards the second third of the book talking about values and why value in leadership and value in life is so important. And she said something that I found so keen. And I just wanted you guys to look at this list if you didn't get to see it, but I'm going to stop my share because I can never see your faces when I'm sharing, and I don't like talking to just a screen. She said that people always think, well, you know, in business, these are my values, but in my personal life, these are my values. And she created this concept and really challenged our thinking to realize that our values are the same. We have one set of values in our personal life and in our business life. We have one set of values in our marriage and in our friendships. We have one set of values in our home as we do on the streets. You are who you are. And it's when you're trying to play all these different values and all these different capacities that none of it really comes through, because you cannot make authentic decisions in any respect. If you're, it's fine, just let them be. If you are, that's Cadence. She's going to be very upset with you. Paxton's can't eat that because they're beads. Okay. If you have values that are all over the place, please take this and run away, because I really can't, I can't even focus. Please. Thank you. If your values are stretched too thin, you can't make any decisions in alignment of them. So she gives this example. If in your business, one of your values is authenticity, because you want to have an authentic brand and you want to be yourself, et cetera, but it's not one of your values in your personal life, you aren't going to be able to teach your kids how to live truly authentic lives if that's not something that's really important to you. Or if you find your health is super important in your personal life and you spend time, you know, working out and exercising, but you demand in your job that your team shows up at early hours and stays late every night, you're not really showing up for them as health as a value. So we can't have these competing values. And she gives a series of examples as to why. So she says we need to do is look at that giant list and come up with the 10, 12, 15 that stand out to us. The ones that stood out to me, and if you guys want to type in any of the ones that stood out to you, you're welcome to do so, or unmute and share as well. I had authenticity, achievement, competence, balance, collaboration, family, growth, health, and what is that supposed to say? It's supposed to say initiative, but I definitely spelled it incorrectly when I was writing it down. Leadership, optimism, and vulnerability. And as I looked through this list and tried to pare it down a little bit, I struggled. And as I continued to listen to the book, because it's really cool, because there's a workbook you download that you can go through as you're listening to the audiobook, or if you have the text, it's all in the text, the printed copy. She talks about how you think that you can't cross family off the list, that it has to be one of your core competencies or one of your core values. But if you can't be courageous, for example, then you can't have family at the top. Like you have to have, I'm not wording this correctly. You have to realize that crossing family off the list and not having that as one of the top two, or balance or health or whatever it is, does not mean they're not important. It means those are the markers by which you measure the top two values. So family, to her, and the way she describes it, or parenting, which was also on the list, relationships, which are on the list. If those are most important to you, that means how you are courageous has everything to do with your parenting. How you are loving, how you are balanced, how you are healthy, every other thing has to relate to that. She said instead, typically, it's something else that family is a part of, or relationships a part of, or, whatever is a part of. So the three that I've come up with, and I promise before the end of the call, I'm going to decide on my two, are competence, growth, and leadership. And I really feel like competence has to be on there for me personally, because I thrive in this way of feeling like I'm capable. And I really get down on myself when I'm feeling incapable, or when I think other people see me as incapable, as a parent, as a teacher, as a leader, etc. So it feels like a very simple and strange value, but something that I truly, truly value. When I'm feeling like my competency is being questioned, or I'm showing up in an incompetent way, I really struggle. And I'm always rising to the occasion when I know my competency is valued or appreciated, or I'm able to flex that muscle, flex that value. So it has everything to do with how I am as a parent. So parent isn't number one on my list. Family isn't number one on my list, because I feel like I need to be competent to really appreciate and value my family, if that makes sense. So I want to give you a couple of seconds, not too long, because I want to go through the breakdown, to think about how you're going to kind of pair off your list. If you can start connecting dots, that's what I did. I saw health to me relates to growth, initiative relates to leadership, family relates to competence, balance relates to growth, collaboration relates to leadership. I could trace these other ones to 2 or 3 of my big core values, and that's how I was able to pare down my list. So I'm going to be quiet for 30 seconds and give you a chance to try to find 2 of those, or 3 at most, that you can thrive in. Don't you love the violin soundtrack?
It's pretty good.
Heather shared her list. It says accountability, adaptability, value, confidence, health, family, vulnerability, intuition, leadership. I like it. One of the things that Brene Brown says is when we're unable to pare down our list, and I know that was before I asked you to pare it down, Heather. When we're unable to pare down our list, we have these lovely fluff words, But you try making a decision against 11 or 10 or 9 or even 4 core values. So if someone was to approach you with, you know, a challenge pack that they want to refund, and you want to hold them accountable because you find that to be a value to you, but you also want to be adaptable and you want to help them realize their, you know, their needs at this moment. But you also know the value that's in that and the value of health that they'll have. You're confident in what you've experienced. You want them to be confident. You want them to be happy. Like, you have all of these competing values. It's really difficult to make the logical decision for you that's authentic in that moment. But if you value, let's just say, accountability and intuition, Heather, as a person, and I'm picking from her list, is going to be able to say to them, listen, you trusted in me to hold you accountable here. I know that this is meant to be for you, but I also know that this is a really difficult situation to be in. And if you're feeling like you need to return it, I can completely respect that and I can help you through it. You just tell me what you need from me at this moment. And that's a decision she's able to make, an approach she's able to make in her business based on those two values. If her values were different, then she's going to be able to act differently. It's not that we can't make the right decision. It's that the decision we make should never cause us regret if it's leading from our values. So she should never feel bad about challenging that person's decision if she speaks from a place where she, you know, is feeling loving. I think about, I don't know why I think about this, and I'm kind of relating it to our business as best as I can, but going into objections, and I always refer back to Leslie when people challenge her on getting the full challenge pack or going into both fitness and nutrition. And she always says, listen, my experience is with this whole package. So I can't speak to the experience just with nutrition or just with fitness because my experience has been the whole package. That's authenticity. She's coming from a place of her experience. She values her authenticity. She values her honesty. So that's the decision she's able to say to someone. She's not the type that's going to say to them, oh, okay, I get it. No problem. Let's, you know, swipe your credit card for $99 instead. She's comfortable challenging that because of the value she places in being authentic in herself in that moment. So just trying to think of it that way. Okay. So hopefully you have your two. Let's see what we have. Stephanie pared it down to forgiveness, power, courage, vision, and hope. Not bad. Erica, balance and competence. We're very similar. Robin, confidence, growth, and authenticity. I love it. So here's what you need to do now. We're gonna take ourselves through 3 steps, okay? The first step, once you choose your 2 values, and really she suggests 2, I still have 3, but I got to get it down to 2, is you want to ask yourself this series of questions, okay? First, what do you feel when you are in alignment with these values, and what does your behavior look like when you are in alignment with these values? So for me, if I am living towards growth, I know that I am seeking out personal development. You want to kind of come up with 3 behaviors if you can. Oh my God, violin. Growing. I'm growing in my patience. So if growth is a value of yours, what are 3 behaviors you can that show you're exhibiting growth every single day? So I can focus in on personal development in an area that's important to me. I can seek ways of getting reflective feedback from others and implementing that feedback. I can be open to being more adaptable, right? To use one of the other values in a space that's going to allow me to realign my priorities every day to make more room for growth. So you want to think about the types of behaviors that work for you in alignment with those goals. Next, you want to think about 3 slippery slope behaviors that start to compete with that competency, with that value that you have. So for the growth example again, if I get stuck in, and this is such a very specific example, but I get into moods where I just want to listen to music. I don't want to listen to a podcast. I want to listen to music. And those are when I start to get moody, or I'm just like having dance parties, but I'm not really doing anything with my brain, right? Either I'm just like getting PMSy and sad, or I'm just like living loose. But either way, I'm not valuing my growth. When that happens, I'm less likely to pick up a book and read it as well. I'm less likely to start sending those responses because I'm too, loosey-goosey, right? So that is a slippery slope for me. When I move away from growth, I start to exhibit behaviors that move me away from staying aligned with my business, my family, etc. Another thing that could be a slippery slope behavior when it comes to leadership is deferring to other people all the time. A slippery slope behavior when it comes to collaboration would be, making decisions without consulting your success partner, or making decisions without talking to your husband, right? We have, if collaboration is our value, then we need to find a space for that all the time. So anyway, 3 things that make you feel in alignment with that behavior, 3 things that are slippery slopes. And then I also want you to think about an example in your life when you were fully living in that moment, when you were fully present with that value, when you made a decision that was difficult, but it was in pure alignment with your value. You acted in a brave or courageous way because it was in full alignment with your value. That you had the hard conversation, did the big, bold thing, whatever it is, because it was in alignment with your value. Having that information available to you written down is going to help you in the future. It's going to help you in those moments where you don't know what to do. It's 2 days before the end of the month, you haven't hit Success Club yet, and that if competency is one of your values, or if achievement is one of your values, or health is one of your values, then you're going to be okay not watching that new Netflix show because you're going to sit down and do another power hour because it's in alignment with one of your values. Where a slippery slope behavior would be like, it's 2 days before the end of the month, I'll do it tomorrow. Today I'm watching Netflix. That's a slippery slope behavior that's not really in alignment with your values. So having that stuff identified is important. The goal then is to write these down, have them in a place that you can see them, your values, everything that aligns with them, and keep them in mind every day. Just like we have our vision boards and all of this, if you are in alignment with your values, you have a clear articulation of what those values are, then when you're in tough conversations, you know exactly how to act. But more importantly, if you know someone else's values, you know how to act for them as well. It reminded me when she got into this part, kind of like the love languages. So it's really fun and nice for us to know each other's love languages and perhaps, coach with that in mind and be collaborative with that in mind. But we're not in romantic relationships. We have a business to run, or we have a challenge group to run. But if you understand that recognition is a value for, let's say, Leslie, then I know that I'm going to make sure that I'm giving her little shout outs, maybe more than other people, or I'm just more intentional with my shout outs for her, if recognition is a value that she has. If balance, like I'm seeing Erica, balance is a value for Erica, I'm not going to look at Erica's tracker and judge it the same way that I would somebody else's and give her feedback on that, because her balance is important to her. That's a value of hers. So if there's a day where she never touches her tracker, but she felt like she was mom and it was most important and she felt balanced that day, perfect. I'm going to applaud her for making that decision. So understanding other people's values also helps save us from conflict. One thing Brene Brown says that I really like, beyond the fact that we have one set of values, is that conflicts come when our values are in conflict with the values of others. And when we're not able to communicate about that or even understand them, it gets really difficult. And I know for a fact that this happens to me, and perhaps this is a talk that I needed more than anybody else, and that's why I felt like it was necessary for tonight's call. But because competence is really important to me, I am so quick to take things personally. And I really got to check myself at the door, because if that's not important to other people, or they don't know that value that I hold in that spot, then they don't mean to be doing anything that I should be taking personal, or they don't mean anything critical about what they're doing or saying or acting. And I have to realize that either my value is not articulated and maybe I should take the time to articulate it, or get my head out of my butt and realize that not everybody has that same value as me, and that's okay. And if someone else's value perhaps is achievement, competency doesn't always equate to that. And I have to be okay with that as well. So when we can understand our value, we can understand why we're reacting in certain ways. When we understand other people's values, we can take them less personally, or have, you be in your lane, I'm in mine. Great. Hey, how is it over there in, forgiveness land? I'm over here in vulnerability land, and we could just high five and watch each other and smile, but not really be in the same headspace. And that's okay. So I just thought it was really, really neat. Now, what does this mean for us as leaders? How can we make this happen? I kind of think I just articulated that, this idea that understanding the people you work with, whether it's your challengers, whether it's people at your a job outside of coaching, whether it's our teammates, your success partner, whomever, understanding where they come from a value perspective will help you understand them a little bit more. It'll help our communication. It'll help your growth as a leader, and it'll help you take other people to their next level because you'll know what's important to them. You know, there are some people in challenge groups who love the prizes and love contests, and other people who would give a crap about that stuff. So if I continue to have a contest every month, I'm not motivating the people who don't care about that stuff. But if I send that person a private text twice a week, letting them know I love everything that they're saying in the group, not just commenting in the group, but, you know, because they really thrive on, vulnerability and courage, and it's courageous to them to even show up, they're going to appreciate the fact that I recognize them for that, not because I sent them a headband in the mail, you know? So just understanding that stuff about our people is going to really serve you. And I hope it gives you a space to share in social media as well. There's so many free resources that Brene Brown has from this text. If you just Google it, that's the Dare to Lead Hub, and you can find so many downloadable PDFs, images, quotes, everything you could use, and it could really help you find some ways to up your challenge group game, to share on social media, something to teach in a live video. You can talk about your values, how difficult it was for you to have this, to pare down this list, share a screenshot and ask people what their values might be off the top of their heads. You know, there's so many things that we can do with this content. I just thought it was really, really neat. And also as a follow-up, tonight I'm going to share with you the Daring Leadership Assessment. And it's from Brene Brown, obviously, and she talks about the 4 key components to leadership. Your values is just one of them. So this assessment will give you an indicator as to where your 4 competencies in leadership lie, where your strengths are, where your areas of improvement are. And if you really like that, not that I'm being sponsored by Brene Brown in any way, I really recommend you listen to this audiobook. I'm sure it's a great book to read as well, but I just think her voice is adorable and she says shit a lot and it's funny. She's just like really down to earth. And I've actually played a couple of the sections for my daughter because there's some really good takeaways just from parenting perspective. That's okay. I don't mind. You can hear me. And how to, you know, own yourself and your actions. And it's been really cool. So anyway, that's that. I think I went a little out of order because Kellen totally threw me off. So I apologize if that made 0 sense. So here's your action item. It's going to be in 3 parts, because one of them is take that quiz at your leisure. I'll post it tonight, but you can take it at your leisure. Number 2, I would love for everybody to share something about their values, whether it's in your story or as a post tonight. It's just a really cool growth moment for us to continue to share with people the ways that we are honest in this capacity. And finally, I would love for you to send 3 voice memos before you go to bed so that somebody can wake up to something lovely from you in the morning, whether it's just a word of wisdom, whether it's thanks for liking my content, I love yours too, if it's an invitation, a follow-up, whatever, but just 3 lovely voice memos so someone could wake up happy because you were thinking of them. So that is that. All right. I don't know. I think I said that in a big jumbled pile of mess. So I apologize to that in advance. You guys are awesome. I'm going to stop recording.